Hello everyone, welcome back. And Barcelona lose 3-2 in the last minute of the game. The same exact thing happened in the first Clásico in La Liga earlier this season. And Barcelona, to be honest, I think their performance was pretty good today. Lamine Yamal was incredible, great to watch. And to be honest, I think we all know the talk around this game is going to be about the referee, and rightfully so, because that was a really horrible performance, to be honest. And I wish we didn't really have to talk about the referee. I think a lot of other leagues, maybe I just don't follow them enough, but La Liga referees are terrible, to be honest. You almost have to lower your expectations to zero, and I still think they'll find a way to disappoint you, because Barcelona, I'll try and put the video up now, hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted, but Barcelona, they scored a goal from Lamine Yamal on a corner, and it looked like the ball did cross the line, but there wasn't enough evidence to give Barcelona the goal, and because La Liga doesn't have goal line technology, it wasn't confirmed whether the ball crossed the line or not, but I think we can see that the ball did cross the line. And that first penalty that Barcelona got, Cubarsí, looked like he tackled Lucas Vázquez in the box. But for me, that wasn't a penalty. I've watched it a couple times. I still think the same exact thing. It reminds me of the Saka penalty on Neuer. A lot of Arsenal fans were saying that it was a penalty, but almost everyone came to the same conclusion that Saka, he kicked Neuer. And I think Lucas Vázquez, he did the same exact thing. But, you just had a feeling when Cubarsí did tackle him, when Lucas Vázquez went down, the referee, he's going to call that, and VAR is not going to overturn that. So that was unfortunate. And then, the referee, man, that horrible game, to be honest. I mean, Modric, I cannot believe he didn't have a yellow card. It took until like the 80th minute for him to get a yellow card. Yeah, it's unfortunate to talk about the referee, because I think overall Barcelona had a pretty good performance, and that's a really strong Real Madrid team, but a lot of the talk is going to be around the referee, and to be honest, that's unavoidable because that was really poor today. And I believe this is the same referee in match day 1 of La Liga this year, where Xavi after the game said, just from this game I can tell it's going to be very difficult to win La Liga. When Gavi, he got a non-existent handball call when Araujo was fouled in the box. It would have been a penalty in the 93rd minute of the game for Barcelona. They called it back for a penalty. I think that's the same referee. Disappointing, to say the least. And I don't know. Maybe I just won't talk too much about the referee, because I think we all kind of know what we saw. There aren't really that many arguments around the bad calls. I think everyone that watched the game kind of knows that was really embarrassing from La Liga to put up that performance. And Javier Tebas was acting like a fan account on Twitter, because he came out and was trying to defend the fact that that La Liga didn't buy goal line technology. Yeah, you can't really make excuses for that, because I think, you need absolute clarification, because that was a title-deciding game. It seemed unlikely that Barcelona were going to go on and win La Liga. But, if that goal stood, if Barcelona ended up getting a win in that game, there would have been a 5-goal gap, or a 5-point gap. Still would think it would have been difficult for Barcelona, but definitely possible, and now we'll never know. But, yeah, I mean, La Liga referees, I think they just kind of go hand in hand. And it gets repetitive to talk about them every single game, so I'm just going to go overall talk about Barcelona's performance, because I think we all knew how bad the referee was that game, how many decisions harmed Barcelona, and there's just no excuses for them, and maybe there's just nothing else to say, because we kind of already know what happened. And for Barcelona, obviously it was really unfortunate for Frenkie de Jong to get injured, and I hope it's not a long-term injury. It seemed pretty bad, and Fede Valverde, he didn't have any, malicious intent there. He just went for the ball. He tried to shoot it from long range, and Frenkie de Jong, it just looked like his foot kind of folded back. It didn't look very good. Hopefully he's not out for very long. And, I think Barcelona in the first half, they did well. Obviously, Madrid had more of the ball. I think they looked a little bit more dangerous. But Barcelona, they took their chance on that corner. And, obviously Lamine Yamal, it should have been a goal. But I think overall they played pretty well in the first half. For me, it was an interesting decision for Barcelona to take Christensen out, who I think was playing well, who also had a goal, to bring in Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez, don't get me wrong, I think he did make a great impact in that game, but those goals and those chances that Real Madrid had in the second half, I think it was largely due to the fact that Barcelona, they didn't have a defensive midfielder on the field. I think Pedri, he just wasn't able to track back well enough. Gundogan, he's not tracking back enough, and Christensen, I think he maybe could have prevented one of those goals. And also, I don't want to just single out one player, but Cancelo, I don't want to even single out Cancelo. I just think Xavi, he should have taken him out, because he looked so off today. And that first goal was due to Cancelo not making a good enough attempt to tackle Lucas Vázquez, and then Lucas Vázquez got into the box, and then Cubarsí did trip him. I mean, that's bad from Cancelo to let him in so easily, and easily could have prevented that chance. And then also the second goal. That's inexcusable from Cancelo to not be back post. He was looking around, he was trying to blame maybe another teammate or something. He was trying to look around like, what just happened? you have to defend the back post. And that wasn't even an attacker. That was the right back making a far-sided run in. And Lucas Vazquez did great to shoot the ball and score and keep it under control. But Cancelo, you have to be doing better there. And then in the third goal, Lucas Vazquez, who, man, I mean, he was great at this game, I guess. He contributed to all 3 goals. But he put a cross in. Cancelo, he just watched it go by. You don't want to just single out one player. But, man, he's had a rough couple games. And yeah, I think hopefully Barcelona fans are not turning on him or anything, but I think for Xavi, I put a tweet out in like the 60th minute. Cancelo, he needed to be taken off in that game because he was just not up to the par with the speed of the game. He had to be taken off, and he wasn't. Unfortunately, the majority of the goals that Real Madrid scored were directly because he just wasn't good enough defensively. And you went into that game really not knowing what to expect because Barcelona, they just came off a really bad defeat against PSG. Real Madrid just came off a great win against Man City. So I felt like the energy levels were going to be different, and I think at some parts of the game it did look like Real Madrid were the much dangerous team, more dangerous team. But Barcelona, I think they did well, to be honest, and I wasn't really super upset with that performance. I haven't went on Twitter to look if anyone else is mad about the performance. I think in some areas they could have been a little bit better. There were some really bad decisions from Lewandowski and, like I said, Cancelo, and maybe Christensen should have stayed on for the second half. I personally would have kept him on, maybe, I don't know, taken Gundogan off maybe. I don't know. He had a pretty quiet game as well. But overall, I think Barcelona, that was a winnable game. It's unfortunate with the stuff that I talked about before, but I'm just not going to get much into that because I think we all know what happened. We all saw what happened. And luckily, I guess for everyone that did watch the game, it was clear to see. I guess it's in the open now, and that's, I guess, a little bit reassuring. But still, Barcelona, I think they did have it in their hands, even besides all of the outside factors that Barcelona just can't control. Yeah, I think Barcelona, they did have a decent performance. They could have went on to win this game, but just defensively, they had a couple lapses in concentration from the left-hand side, and yeah, Barcelona, they paid because Real Madrid is a great team. You can't make that many mistakes against them, and they punished them. And I think for Xavi, he set the team up pretty well. Again, the mistakes that I think he made was not subbing out Cancelo, because maybe it was just me, but I thought he was really out of it today. I think he looked really poor. So I would have liked Inigo Martinez to come on and play left back because defensively he's just much better. He's much better in that position. And, I know he's naturally a center back, but to bring an additional center back on and stop the crosses and prevent those goals from going in, that I think would have helped Barcelona. And also Christensen staying on the field. You never know what would have happened, but I don't know. I could have seen the game differently, but I think Christensen was doing pretty well. So I was confused. I saw Fermin Lopez coming on, and I was just confused who he took off. And I saw Christensen didn't come back on, and it was an interesting decision, but I mean, it did work out because Fermin Lopez, he gave Barcelona the lead. It was a great goal, and I think he did provide a lot of energy, and he did good. And also, I think he could have gotten a penalty in that as well. I think it would maybe been a little bit soft on Rudiger, but what was the difference between Kubarsi's tackle on Lucas Vazquez and Rudiger's tackle on Fermin Lopez? Because Rudiger, he stood his ground. He brought his body into Fermin Lopez, and Fermin Lopez, he got rocked, and he went onto the ground. I don't know what the difference is between Kubarsi's tackle on Lucas Vazquez, but I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm biased. I completely admit that I'm biased. Maybe I saw the game differently, but yeah, some really interesting decisions to me. Barcelona, I wasn't surprised by the performance because I think they looked pretty calm. Koundé had a great performance. I think he deserves a lot of praise because he did really well against Vinicius. I think the chances that Vinicius did have, they were on the counter and they were away from Koundé. I think he did have a good performance, and of course, Lamine Yamal, I think I saw that he was the man of the match in that game, and rightfully so, because every time he got on the ball, I mean, he is Barcelona's best player, and the same thing with Lewandowski. It was so frustrating to see him getting mad at Lamine Yamal for taking a shot. Yeah, give the ball to Lewandowski. I'm sure that's the right decision. Give it to him. He'll definitely help Barcelona. Yeah, if it was up to Lewandowski, he would have the ball every second of the game. I don't know why Barcelona don't just do that. I mean, he's clearly the best player on the field, right? Absolutely not. I mean, Lamine Yamal, 10 out of 10 times, I would love to have Lamine Yamal having the ball rather than Lewandowski. So please, man, I beg you, I know you're not going to watch this video, stop calling for the ball when Lamine Yamal has it, and stop getting mad at Lamine Yamal for trying something, because he's the one that's providing something in the game for Barcelona. So let him do whatever he wants. He has free roam. You do your job. That's what I would say. But and it was a good decision from Xavi to take out Lewandowski, who obviously didn't have an impact on the game, and you felt like if a goal was going to happen, it was going to be from Barcelona getting in behind. And Ferran Torres, he had a couple chances to make an impact, but it just wasn't meant to be there. Yeah, I'm sure all of us are going to feel hard done by that game because of the decisions that went against Barcelona. And I don't know. I don't even know what to say about those. It's just unfortunate that happened. but it's not surprising. And I just think Barcelona, they have to realize that going into the game that you're going to have to work very hard to get a good result in this game. And I think Barcelona went into that game pretty well. I don't think they controlled as much of the ball. I don't think they had as many maybe clear-cut chances as Real Madrid did, but I think Barcelona played well in that game. I think they easily could have gone away with a win from that game, but it just didn't happen. We don't exactly know why, but yeah, Barcelona, I still think they should feel pretty confident about their performance, and I was a little bit worried about the energy levels and their confidence from that game against PSG, and some players I think bounced back very well, to be honest. I think Barcelona as a whole, they did bounce back from that game, and they did show that they're still able to compete at the highest level against one of the best teams in the world. And a good saying that my coach used to say is you focus on the things that you can control, and Barcelona, don't focus on the things you can't control. Focus on the things that were in your hands, and you don't want to single out one player, but Cancelo, that was defensively, he was such a huge liability. But for me, it was up to Xavi to see that and to acknowledge that he was not playing well defensively, and it seemed like Real Madrid were going to score from that side or from a mistake from him. And Inigo Martinez, I don't think he would have been beaten back post. I don't think he would have fallen asleep for the second goal. I think, that first goal, that's just bad from Cancelo, and offensively, he just didn't provide enough to outweigh the defensive liabilities this game. I would have taken Cancelo off. That would have been a change that I definitely would have made, and you would have expected a coach to make, because Camavinga, on the other hand, I don't even think he was having that bad of a performance. I think it's just against Lamine Yamal, who's so difficult to defend against. But Ancelotti saw that side was getting attacked left, right, and center, and Lamine Yamal was having so much joy on that side. So he brought on another left back. He brought someone fresh on. Maybe that could have changed the game for Barcelona. And again, it's either Hector Fort or Inigo Martinez in that position. I would have definitely preferred one of those two rather than keeping Cancelo on the field, because I really think all three of the goals, again, you don't want to single one player out, but they all came from that exact spot. And for Barcelona, I do think there are a lot of positives to take away from this game. Obviously, the young core of the club, Barcelona is still moving in the right direction. I think they have a bright future ahead of them. But maybe this forces Laporta's hand a little bit, because the league is blown wide open now. I think it's an 11-point lead to Real Madrid. And to be honest, they've been the best team in La Liga this season. Barcelona just haven't been consistent enough. And that's the reality. You can't look for other excuses. Yes, there have been some decisions that have gone Barcelona's way, but they haven't looked like the best team in La Liga, if we're all being honest with ourselves. And Real Madrid, they look likely to win the title, and I think that's fair, because they've been the best team in the league. They've been the most consistent this season. So maybe it forces Laporta's hands. Maybe, he knows he has to be smart. He has to make great decisions in the summer. Maybe he has to make some hard decisions that he doesn't exactly want to make, but he knows for the betterment of the club. He will have to sell a couple players. Maybe he'll have to fire a couple of his friends in the office. We don't really know what's going to happen, but Barcelona, I think they do have a big summer ahead of them, and I hope they have the finances available to make the signings that they need to make. And towards the end of the game, yes, a tie didn't really do that much. So again, I understand Fermin Lopez coming on for Christensen, but I just think it's so obvious that Barcelona played better with a defensive midfielder. So I don't know. To add another attacker, I understand the risk, and Xavi had to do it anyways, because a tie wasn't really going to do that much, because it was still going to be an 8-point gap, which is still really difficult to come back from. I understand Xavi going for it and risking it offensively. Fermin Lopez, he did come on. I think he played great. He had a spark that helped Barcelona. But I don't know. Maybe Christensen staying on the field, it could have changed things. I think Barcelona definitely would have looked a little bit more secure. But again, you had to go for it, because how the league has gone, Barcelona's underperformed. Things just haven't gone their way. They've struggled with a lot of injuries this season. And to be honest, for being a couple seconds and a couple just key little details away from closing the gap to 5 points for Real Madrid, I think, to be honest, if I was to look back in December, January, where Barcelona were playing so terrible, I'd say they actually did pretty good to almost make it this close. But again, the objective, the goal is to play the best that you can and to win as many titles as possible. And they just haven't played up to par this year. That's the reality. And, decisions are decisions. You can't control those things. You just have to look at what Barcelona can control. And the reality is they just haven't been consistent and good enough this season to win La Liga, and Real Madrid have. And I'm going to make a video soon talking about where do Barcelona go from here, where I see the future of the club and the signings that I want them to make in the summer, because I think a lot of Barcelona fans are still really upset after that game against PSG, where it was in their hands, they crumbled. And then in this game, to lose in the 92nd minute, that's unfortunate. A tie wouldn't have really done that much anyways, but obviously you never want to lose to your rivals, and to basically guarantee that you're not winning the title this year, that's obviously unfortunate as well. So those back-to-back games, I'm sure Barcelona fans are not feeling the best about the team right now, But I still think the direction that the club is going, it's up, and there's a young core that Barcelona can build around. There's still great players that Barcelona have, and I hope with a new coach, a new start next season, they look back to their best. And like I said, I'm sure there's going to be so much talk about the officiating, about La Liga, about that referee that made the decisions today. And I understand completely why. It's very frustrating because, yeah, things could have gone differently. But in the end, Barcelona, like I said, you focus on the things you can control. And I think there's a saying, I'm pretty sure it's a Spanish saying, I don't really know, but I've seen it on Twitter. It's, what is seen does not need to be explained. And we saw what happened. There is nothing that I need to explain, really, because we saw the decisions that went Barcelona's way. It's unfortunate, it's frustrating, but it's not surprising. So I think Barcelona, they know that it's going to be difficult to win La Liga. They know it's difficult to compete in this league, but you have to try. You have to try again and again, and hopefully Barcelona, when they start again next season, they'll look better. And it's frustrating to lose in that fashion. I wasn't exactly surprised, just with the way that the game was going. It was like, all right, well, that's going to happen. And Ter Stegen, I don't know if people are slandering him. I think that he just slid on that last. I'll have to watch that again before I try and. I don't want to slander him at all. I mean, that was a great shot from Bellingham to put it in the roof of the net. But I just think it was at Ter Stegen if he would have just slid instead of fallen. But I'm not a goalkeeper, so I mean, I would have been scored on in that scenario, so I can't really talk that much about that. But, yeah, frustrating for Barcelona. I think they did have it in their hands yet again. Just the same thing in the PSG game. They did have it in their hands, and things just didn't go their way. And it's an unfortunate, I don't want to say unlucky, it's an unfortunate past couple games for Barcelona. And I'll be honest, not the best couple games for Barcelona, huh? I mean, I think we kind of knew when Barcelona were just continuing to underperform and they just looked so lost. It wasn't going to be a largely successful season for Barcelona. But again, to almost close the gap to 5 points, given the way that the season has gone for Barcelona, yeah, there are some positives there. And, the academy, Lamine Yamal and Cubarsí making such great impacts on Barcelona's season, and they've been such bright sparks to Barcelona. That's a great sign. And La Masia, I think you can continue to rely on them. And Fermin Lopez as well. I mean, this was a player that was on loan to the third division of Spanish football. And Xavi brought him back. He brought him back for preseason. And he's scoring in Clásicos. He's scoring in these big games for Barcelona. So, it's really great to see all that stuff. And, yeah, you don't want to focus too hard on the negatives. Obviously, some things Barcelona definitely could have been better in this game. But Barcelona, I still think they have a bright future. You've got to build on the positives, and I did see some positives today. As always, thank you very much for watching my video. I really do appreciate it. Again, unfortunate game, unfortunate week for Barcelona, but these things happen, and you've just got to bounce back, and you've got to continue to try and play at your best. And Barcelona, the trajectory that they're going, I still think it's forward. I still think they're making progress. And so Barcelona, they just got to get back, and they've got to have a big summer, to be honest. They're going to have to make some sales. They're going to have to hire a new coach, and they're going to have to bring in some players to compete for next season. And I'm excited to see all of that. I'm sure there's going to be so many links. I'm talking about new players, new coaches, so I'm excited to talk about all of that soon. And again, thank you very much for watching my video, and as always, Visca Barca. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and see you all later. Peace.